call this meeting of the Town of Sheffield Select Board to order on March 28th, 2022. Thank you all for being with us, and we thank CTSB for recording this meeting. Anyone here can record the meeting just upon informing the chair. So our first item of business tonight is approval of meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the Select Board meeting February 7th, 2022, February 11th, 2022, two sets, February 17th, and February 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Is there any discussion on these minutes? Otherwise, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is announcements of roadside trash cleanup. Do we have anyone here on that?
Do you have that?
Shall we pass over
Can you
that?
just pass over that, and I'll get that before the meeting's over?
Okay, so we're going to pass over that for just a moment. Next item is discussion of possible action regarding permit and application fee increases, and we have that in front of us. Martin, to preserve our voice, would you mind reading this for us?
Sure. So the proposal for the Conservation Commission is for a...
This isn't proposal, this is current, Martin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This
Okay.
is what currently happens.
Oh, okay, so I'm going to read through the current fee schedule. For the Conservation Commission, a request for determination of applicability fee is $100. The notice of intent fee is set by the state, and the applicant pays for the legal notice ad for the newspaper. For the Planning Board, a special permit fee is $250. For the Zoning Board of Appeals, an administrative appeal, variance, or special permit fee, each of those is $250. And then, just for background, the average cost for a Conservation Commission ad in the newspaper for ads that are run one time is $98 to $125. The average cost for a planning board ad in the newspaper with ads running twice is between $250 to $300, and there have been no zoning board hearings, so that's not.
But their ads run twice too, is that correct? Just a nod?
For which one?
The Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yes.
They're run twice.
Okay.
So I think this is a continuation of a discussion that we started a few weeks ago about, since we've lost the record, the prices in the Eagle have gone up, and the issue being, while not trying to discourage business in town, who should pay for it, the applicant or the citizens at large. So I'd like to open this up to board discussion, and if anyone in the audience has input, we'll take that input too. So, Bob, comments?
Unfortunate as it may be, the costs have risen, and it should be on the applicant, not on the town people, I believe. So the increase should be passed on to the applicant. I don't believe the town people should be paying for it in their taxes.
I agree with that.
Okay, so we're both in, and I agree the same. All right, we would monitor this if the Eagles prices go down or they go up, but I think it's good to set fees for the upcoming fiscal year rather than starting them right now, unless you all feel differently.
I don't see any reason not to start it now. I mean, the costs are there already with us.
So, okay, so probably let's think about a date because the applications would have to be updated, etc. Okay, but I want to see if there's anyone in the public that would get seated here that'd like to make comment on this.
I just want to clarify something. Sarah, 460 Main Street. Is it just a fee, or are you talking about the ads as well?
I'm not sure I understand your...
I thought it was a fee, and then they had to be put in the paper once or twice, and that's an extra expense. So is it both? No. The fee
for instance, your planning board fee, which I think is $250 right now, covers two advertising. The applicant pays no more unless you're told that they have to hire a consultant or something of that
I
sort.
thought you were maybe proposing to add more.
Well, what we're looking at is, since the planning board, let's just take the planning board for a moment, or the zoning board of appeals, has to advertise it twice, with the current ads running between $250 to $300. The applicant, in essence, is only paying one half of what is the cost of running the ads for their hearing, whether it's a special permit hearing or it's an appeal hearing. So the discussion is, should the town subsidize that, town residents, or should the applicant pay basically what the town is being charged?
So you're saying the 250 is for one of the ads? No.
It used to be when we had the record was so much less expensive that this covered the cost of 2 ads, but the record hasn't been with us 4 years now or whatever.
Is that for
So now it's really doubling the price of
Yes,
ads.
yes. It's $500 to $600, and the applicant is paying $250.
Yeah, that's tremendous, but I do agree that it should be.
It's for both or what? It's got to be for both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So it's $250 to $300 for both ads.
Oh, for both ads?
Yes.
Oh, that's,
Okay.
oh, much nicer. Much nicer. Okay, so the question for the Concom is whether we leave it at 100 or move it up to probably 125, or,
I think you should just go to 150.
I'm sorry,
150 on the
150.
conservation.
for the Concom?
If they're run between 98 to 125, so if you made it 125, if one went to 127 or 130, you're not covering it. So it would be my suggestion that you go to 150 and the others you go to 350.
All right, so we have a suggestion from our town manager that to kind of, I guess, guard against either extra words, extra requirements, or increases in newspaper ad fees, that we go to 150 for the Concom from $100. And again, that's only for RDAs. And for the Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals, that the total cost go from $250, which is the current, to $350. Do I finally have this right?
Yes.
Okay, so it does,
So moved.
Second.
all right. Any further discussion? Let's just add a little bit to that motion. Do you wish to add when you would like to have this to be effective, or shall we take that up as a second motion?
Let's make it effective by April 10th.
Let's see, nobody meets until, I think we would have all the applications. So any application filed April 10th, which is a Sunday, April 11th is a Monday, thenceforth would be at the new prices.
Correct.
Would you amend your motion?
As amended.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Jill, do you know, you got it? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We got through that. All right. The next one, actually the next 2 items are curb cuts. So discussion and possible action. The first one is for Peter Mays, east of 924 Berkshire School Road. We have this in front of us. It has been signed off by both our highway superintendent and our chief of police. There is no culvert needed. Anyone have anything more to add to this? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the curb cut for Peter Mays.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Our second one is for Christine Kelly at 164 Roadkill Road, the new driveway. This does require a culvert. The diameter is specified. It is signed by our superintendent of highways and our police chief. Does anyone have anything to add to this one?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is discussion possible action on voter information sheet and cable TV survey for special town meeting. I had put this on, and what I wanted to do is if the board approves both of these handouts, then of course we need to get the approval of the moderator, who has responsibility for approving everything that's out on the table. So the one is just the survey that we've seen before, okay? There's nothing new, but I'm hoping that if we have it out, we will be able to have more people fill it out, and this is the charter cable TV. The other one has basically been updated after my discussion with our council, Lauren Goldberg, yes, we spent time on this. So what it does, the whole first page is Article 1, which is the update of the general bylaws. And what I've tried to do here is very specifically say what's not being changed, which is the special acts of legislation. But what is being changed, and we all went through these bylaws with over many, many public meetings, and so I've just kind of added a general update to what's been changed or added. One thing that Lauren put in since the last time she reviewed it that you all have not had a chance to see is, I think it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th dot on the front page, if you've got the correct one. There's a new chapter 218, which is just called General Provisions. It contains definitions. Currently, it is only really the Selectboard, and it also has the severability clause that applies to everybody rather than being repeated. The other thing that she added was the third bullet down, which is Chapter 139. It just deals, and this has been discussed ongoing, multiple member bodies, such as anything that's got multiple members. Every board has multiple members. It defines, authority, duties, and member removal, whose terms are found or not found in law. In other words, there's one thing that applies if you're elected, there's another that applies if you're appointed, and it just kind of puts that in the general bylaw, so that question is answered rather than just kind of continuing to swirl around. The other side of it deals with Article 2, establishing town fees, and the emergency reserve fund replenishment. And then we haven't been quite adhering to how to disperse our public education and government access and cable TV funds. So this puts us back in alignment with state law. So I just was hoping that if the board approved this, or if you have any changes, we can, or want to look it over more, we can postpone that. Just a minute. Frank, go ahead. You have to go.
Some of us are hard, can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Can't hear a word. Hear words, I have no idea what you said.
Well, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. Thank you, Frank. So this is a voter information sheet that when you came into town meeting, you would pick up if the board approves it and if our town moderator allows it to be out on the table for you to pick up. So I don't know if you've had enough of a time to read this or whether you would like to give your comments to Rhonda or Jill if you have any updates on it. But we will not be meeting again before the special town meeting.
Right. I've reviewed it. Thank you for telling me about the ones that Lauren added, and I would make a motion that we approve the voter information on the special town meeting warrant articles.
I'm all set with it too, I think it's fine.
Okay, and then that would be,
Subject to the moderators.
subject to the moderator's approval. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, how do we feel, just a minute, how do we feel about asking him whether we can put the 5-town cable advisory committee out there? Sometimes people have extra time during town meeting. Or do we want to just let this go?
I'm indifferent.
Opinion either way either.
Then may I
Makes no
say that if
difference.
I get 20 more responses, it would help us during negotiations?
Sure.
Okay, and the response has been underwhelming so far.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the board support asking the moderator if we could also put out the 5-town cable advisory committee survey at the special town meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Catherine, you had a question?
I'll wait for public comment.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Our next item is review of the April 4th special town meeting. I want to thank our friends at the Sheffield Times for their publication. Every household, I believe, has received this, and all of the warrant articles are included. I was just talking with the chair of our Board of Health, and from what I understand, it's mask or not mask at your own discretion, and that I also understand that there's no social distancing that they're recommending. That could change in a week, but it's going to be at 6 o'clock. We will have the firemen there to see people. It will be by hand vote or secret ballot. We won't have the clickers this time. Anybody want to add anything to it?
Is there any reason we're not using the clickers? Or-
$6,000.
That's a good reason.
You can cut a lot of paper strips.
Absolutely.
We still have to make some decisions about the annual town meeting, but let's get over this one first.
Very good.
Bob, do you want to add anything?
Nope. Nope.
All right, so that's it on the special town meeting. There's some very important items there, so I hope people will come again. It starts at 6 o'clock. And it will be at Mount Everett TACPAC. Discussion on possible action regarding the online cable TV survey. This thing keeps coming up tonight. We now have it, it's been done as a online survey. So what I would like to do is just put it on the website with a link so that people can go online and take the survey instead of having to do paper, if the board approves that.
Make a motion to put the cable TV survey online.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I would give us to probably the end of the week. There's a lot going on right now, maybe even after the special town meeting, okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Martin, how about giving us an update on the broadband survey?
Well, I have to say that it's a little bit underwhelming, given all the concerns that our community has expressed about broadband. We have 95 responses in, that's now 3 weeks. You know, we 95 responses at this stage isn't going to give the town leaders sufficient data for which to assess the viability of undertaking a municipal light company and creating a Sheffield-owned broadband network. So I'm going to encourage everyone, again, if you haven't taken the broadband survey that's available through the town website, there's an easy link. It takes all of 4 to 4.5 minutes to complete, and there's even room for comments for those that, you know, don't feel like the questions may be answered or gave them the opportunity to give input for our purposes. But 95 out of 1,300 houses or whatever it is we have here is pretty underwhelming. So just want to encourage everybody, please take the survey if you haven't done so already.
The other thing that I would add, that this survey is really important for our upcoming negotiations with Charter Spectrum, though our 5-town cable advisory does not deal with broadband. It really helps to know what people think of that service, because you don't get broadband, cable TV, they kind of go together, though the advisory committee only deals with one. So take the time, please. It's really important. Otherwise, I don't think anybody gets to complain. If you haven't taken the survey, you don't get to complain. So we're really asking you just to do this as a civic duty. All right, and we know at least several people at this table and in this room have taken the survey, so please do your part for our town. Thank you, Martin. All right, the next item is discussion and possible action regarding funding for body-worn camera technology. We got the grant for the body-worn cameras, but we didn't get the grant for the in-car cameras and that software that our police department has been using for about 5 years now. So that comes to a total of about $5,000. So I don't remember that we paid for this yet. I don't think we set aside money for this. We were hoping that we would get that efficiency grant, which we didn't. So we need to find around $5,000. And I'm asking for 5 because the new contract with WatchGuard is not set at the state, so we have to wait for that.
Is this something we can put in the police budget, or is this something we need to source from another area?
When, do you know when? Are we talking this fiscal year or next fiscal year?
I'm hoping as soon as they get that contract negotiated. But if you want to defer it, we could defer it until that contract is negotiated. Or if you want to say if there's money in the police department budget that comes from there first, and then the backup is, I would really just like to get this off the plate to know where the money's coming from.
So there might be opportunity to encumber, but we won't know that until it gets closer to the end of this fiscal year. So if it's not a decision that has to be made tonight.
It doesn't have to be made tonight.
Okay.
We'll just move it forward. So let's table this.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to the next item, which is an update on the highway garage project. And just to kind of save Rhonda's voice tonight, I think what we just want to announce on that is that the RFQ for the town's project manager on this has gone out to bid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our responses are due April 15th.
Yes.
So we'll see, once we have that person in place, then the town will begin with that person to work on the designer selection, which would be the architectural firm that would actually take all of the inputs and requirements, refine that, and then come up with an actual design.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of about it. It is moving forward, slowly, but it is moving forward. Martin, did you have any opportunity?
I did. In fact,
Okay, could you add that to the conversation now?
yes. So for everyone's knowledge here, RFQ is a request for quotes for the designer selection. That's what Renee was referring to. We have had one preliminary conversation with a financial advisor about financing the cost of the new highway garage. Very preliminary, and he was not able to give me sort of any indication as to interest rates or term without knowing more about the cost.
And we don't know that.
And we don't know that.
Yes.
The OPEB,
Other post-employment.
benefits,
That's-
he said, if you're thinking about funding it at the level that you discussed, it'll have no impact whatsoever.
Okay.
If it were more substantial, conceivably it could buy down the rate a little bit, but he was not hopeful that was any kind of a linchpin at all with regard to.
Okay, good. One of the things that the Selectboard and the Finance Committee were discussing is, just to add a little bit of meat to what Martin said, there's a whole category of other post-employment benefits that are tied to retirees that many towns are funding kind of on an annual basis. Sheffield has chosen not to do that. So the question came up, because probably money is going to have to be borrowed if this highway garage project is approved. The question was, if we were funding those benefits at some level, would it make a difference in the interest rate that we would receive? And the answer is negligible to no.
Correct.
So I think that resolves that matter. Thank you, Martin. Anything else on this one?
Nope.
Okay, let's go on. Action regarding disclosure and consent to multiple representation, Rusted River Committee. All right, this one was just added to the agenda because it came in literally today. This is from our law firm, KP Law. Just as background, the Rusted River Municipal Committee, which has been in place for the 5 Rusted River communities for, I think, 8 years now, 7 or 8 years. That committee is looking, which is appointed by the Selectboard, is looking toward the possible end of this ongoing litigation. And there will be, as people may remember, there's a $55 million fund that GE put into escrow, different percentages for different communities. When the legal matter is over and if the settlement agreement remains basically the same. So at some point that's going to be divided up. But all of the member towns feel that there should be money set aside after the legal issues are over for ongoing diligence, tracking, keeping GE, and if needed, the EPA in tow to make sure that this potential 13-year cleanup procedure goes according to the way that it has been specified. So, getting back to what this is about, 3 of the 5 towns are represented by KP Law. KP Law lawyers do not talk to each other on their town's behalf unless there is a signed release that they are able to talk to each other. So that's basically what this is about, is to allow our lawyer to talk to KP lawyer who represents Great Barrington to talk to the KP Law lawyer who represents Lennox. So, okay, that may not have been one you wanted to hear, but that's the gist of it. So,
May I ask a question?
sure.
So this representation is specifically to do with KP Law's representation of the town of Sheffield as it relates to the creation of the reserve fund, correct?
No.
Or is it for the actual
This allows,
technical, legal related consultants?
this, as I understand it from Mark, allows, the goal is to create the document that is going to be signed by hopefully all 5 towns to create that reserve fund for ongoing, so you're right. However, our lawyer can't talk with another KP Law lawyer.
Understood. That part I
Yes,
understand.
okay,
But
right.
but my point,
Yes.
the point of my question was, it's specifically with regard to the
Yes.
establishment of this reserve fund.
Yes, we need a document to allow us to do that,
Right, okay,
okay?
okay.
Now, I'm hoping that all 3 of them are not going to work on this. You know, that it's going to be one who's going to, Joe Baird, who we know from work with this town, is Lennox's. I don't know the gentleman from Great Barrington. I'm hoping that the cost will be split by 3 if one of the other towns doesn't pick it up. Okay?
I was just going to say, as long
Right.
as 3 KP
Yes,
partners
you know,
aren't charging 3 towns.
We've had situations like this before, and it's all worked out, but they have a very strict guideline that they don't do work on their client's behalf without their client's authorization. Would that sum it up, Rhonda?
Yes, we had the same situation with the HR
I know,
Because both Sheffield
yeah,
and Great
I remember.
Barrington, so we had to do that
But
there.
it was that clarification as it related to that reserve fund, because that,
Yes.
the preamble or the introductory paragraph indicates that,
Yeah.
and then the determination discusses it as well. So it's with respect to our acceding to, as well as the other two towns, having to do with the negotiation creation of the reserve fund and for no other matters related to.
Correct.
Right. That's all I wanted to
And
know.
then we have a lawyer weighing in from Lee,
Correct.
and we have a lawyer weighing in from Stockbridge.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So,
I would make a motion that the select board execute the determination document regarding the KP law representing Sheffield with regard to the disbursement of settlement funds from the General Electric pertaining to the rest of the.
Second.
any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So I'm just going to have us,
Thank you.
I'm just going to have us sign this right now so that Rhonda can get it up, or Jill can get it back to Mark. Thank you. I kind of appreciate this, the way that they do things. It sometimes seems cumbersome, but I think in the end, it all protects us. They're not talking to people
Correct.
without our permission, and et cetera. All right, so board member items. Let's go first to Martin.
I have nothing. I know we wanted to go back to the roadside cleanup, but is there
Okay,
anything
you want
me
to do that now?
Okay. So, yes, we'll go back for a moment to item 2 on the agenda, the announcement of the roadside trash cleanup. So, this is going to take place on the Earth Day weekend, which is April 23rd or April 24th. And I think it's just important for citizens to know there will be crews comprised probably of a lot of citizens as well with their bags, picking up trash. Try to be careful as you drive by. Or, more even importantly, you can participate and help clean up the awful amount of garbage that people have been dropping, bottles, cans, you name
It's
it.
really.
It's about the worst I've seen.
Yeah, and I think that, so is Jenny Russell involved in this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Jenny Russell usually is part of the team that ends up Sheffield. She will likely have highway bags, the yellow highway bags.
Yes.
Okay, and is Neil heading it up for Ashley Falls? Does anybody know?
We'll certainly be doing it again, but I don't know the details. And usually somebody donates old fertilizer bags.
That's Julie, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So if you've got bags that you can supply, if the town has them, that would be.
Well, usually we don't have them, it's usually Jenny Russell, who's
Oh,
over
okay.
here on
Yeah, yeah,
Berkshire
yeah. School.
You might coordinate with her, and I think anyone should feel very free to do a pre-Earth Day pickup if they want, because it really, I think you're right, Martin, it is just, it's, maybe it's because we haven't had the snow this year to cover it, but
Perhaps.
it's just really out there. So that's that weekend.
Yeah, there was one other thing that I wanted to add. If you're going to be out working with the volunteers, try to wear something fluorescent. You know, if you have a fluorescent sweatshirt or a vest or something like that as well, just to help for people to see you and drivers to see you. I would highly recommend that. I don't think we have a supply of vests that we can give out, but if anything that you have is even an old T-shirt that you can pull over your coat if it's as cold as it is today, wear something that's bright and visible.
And I think if yellow bags are put by the road, the highway crew will pick them up. I
Yes.
don't know about other bags. Usually Ashley Falls counts everything, makes necklaces, and that's always a great way of celebrating it. But maybe we can find that out if the bags were collected into one spot, that the highway crew would pick them up.
Yes,
Anything else?
All right.
that's what I wanted to add. Yeah.
All right, so nothing so much. Bob?
Nothing tonight.
I have two items that I'd just like to bring up. One, I really want to congratulate our school district. I don't know if anyone saw it, but Mount Everett was given an early college designation. I guess this was in the works for a while, and then the pandemic stopped it. But if you have a chance, just check this out on, I believe it was the Berkshire Edge. It's really going to give an opportunity for everyone to experience a college course through Simon's Rock, if I understand this correctly, and also to gain potentially quite a few credits if they do go on to school. I think this goes with the mentoring program and a number of things that they're doing over at Mount Everett to give their high school students a lot of look at various life careers and to start them on the way. So this is really a significant accomplishment to them. So kudos to everyone in there, the school district, and also at Simon's Rock. The other thing, and this just showed up today, which is the Martin's been working on this for, how long have you been working on this, Martin?
Over 3 years, I think.
Over 3 years, all right. So this showed up in the mail today. It needs to be signed and back by March 31st, which is kind of why I'm bringing up outside of it being on our agenda. But it's the Massachusetts State Subdivision Agreement for statewide opiate settlements, which Martin kind of put a tag in for us, and I think they finally settled. And this agreement, which I've signed, it says that it was dated March 4th, but we're getting it today, then has the attachment as to how the funds are supposed to be spent and the reporting requirements, which we don't have any idea how much money we're going to get, if
I
any.
have no idea at this stage.
The reporting requirements are annual for those that get $35,000 or more. So I think unless we just want to bow out of this at this moment, we need to have this signed and sent back. Okay, there are a number of ways that if we do get any significant money, can go to be partnered with people.
Correct.
Other than just buying additional doses of Narcan. But maybe we could put this on the next agenda to re-ratify, since people haven't had a chance to hear about it, except now that we're not going to have a meeting by the 31st. So is there, I guess I'll make a motion that we authorize our chair to sign the Massachusetts State Subdivision Agreement for statewide opioid settlements.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to give this down to you because it's signed. All right, town administrator items. She's guarding her voice. She has a bit of a cold, so thank you, Rhonda, for being here. Public comment. Catherine?
I have four tiny bits here. First of all, the first one's a request.
Name and address.
Catherine Miller, 801 Clayton Road, Ashland Falls. That's present. First is a request. Please, at the town meeting, would you be kind enough to put the first 3 articles in English? I read them and I was so perplexed, I had no idea what I was reading. All this weird stuff. And I think the average one would help just to prepare a statement what we're voting on. The second thing is, I feel badly about this broadband response, and I think that the town meeting is the perfect place to try to find a way to promote it. I don't know how you do it, how it's legally done, but it seems to be that there are probably plenty of folks in this town that don't have a clue about it. Thirdly, I just want to say that Simon's Rock program, if a student participates in that to the fullest extent, he or she will have 1 year's college credit when they graduate. That's a pretty big deal.
That's a big
And
deal.
if the kid is going to go to college, that's a big savings. And then finally, about these body cams.
Am I correct in my understanding that some of the marijuana money, wherever it comes from, the income to the town, can be used to benefit the town in certain ways? And if enhancing the police department in some way wouldn't fall into that?
So the marijuana money goes into the general fund. All right, Rhonda's just gonna, okay. The general fund has to be authorized, the expenditures have to be authorized by town meeting. Now, we got a grant for the body-worn cameras, all right. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Well, the answer is yes. It does, but I'm perhaps misinformed. I thought that there was some portion of money that was received from the marijuana operation that was directed specifically to things that benefited the town. Now, that may be what you're telling me, that goes into the town.
Well, one could argue that anything that the voters, there's no specific statements that it has to be used for
So the state's not
education,
saying
for
anything.
police, or anything, all right? But I would argue that anything that the town voters spend money on,
Okay,
that they approve at town meeting, benefits the public,
okay, I stand corrected.
okay? Yeah.
Kathleen, 261 East Main Street. A couple of things. You may know that the Southern Berkshire Public Health Collaborative has obtained masks that they've distributed to the library, to the senior center, to town hall. Independent of that, I, as chair of the Board of Health, also went to NEMA, which was a very easy click here, and we'll be taking delivery of several hundred K95s, KN95s, tomorrow, to be delivered by the state, no, some military group is delivering them. I hope it doesn't miss that one.
It's called National Guard.
National Guard.
National Guard.
On that face, yeah.
I did that to hold them in reserve, because we're really not done with pandemics and diseases and so forth, and they come in relatively small boxes, they won't be hard to store, et cetera. But just thinking ahead and trying to be prepared is important. Last, if I could have a copy of that marijuana, the opioid thing that you guys worked on, I'd like to have the Board of Health see that.
Sure.
Did you have it?
I'll forward it to you by email.
Otherwise, I'll,
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, Mark will forward it.
Thanks.
Okay. We will have masks available at the town meeting, and we will have hand sanitizers, but we're not, unless something changes between now and next Monday, you know, we're not going to be policing or separating people or, you know, seating them as we did through other protocols when it was appropriate to do so. Sarah?
I also feel badly about the broadband survey.
Could you just announce your name and where you're
Sarah,
placed?
16. And I had Martin a little issue with
Yes.
it, and I still, when I went on there a second time to fill out the questionnaire, I still had no option to say who my supplier was. So I don't know.
Our contractor amended the website for that specific issue, and if you don't have either,
I use Spectrum, so I'm assuming that's one.
in your email, you indicated you didn't use Spectrum, you had some other service provider.
No, my service is Spectrum, but I had something done interior-wise to make my connection throughout the house better.
If you use Spectrum, then you should indicate that you use Spectrum on the survey.
I honestly had, I think I sent you the picture of the page, where it should be, and there was nothing. And I'm not the only one, I know at least another 2 people who haven't been able to fill that information out.
Okay.
So maybe the two of you could meet after the meeting to get the information to feed.
Well, I will take a look at the website again. They have amended the website. If you don't have Spectrum or you don't have the other service provider, I can't even think of who it is. So it's Charter. Charter is Spectrum.
Okay, I don't know Charles, I know Spectrum.
Spectrum is owned by Charter.
Okay.
So if
One
you,
and the same.
they're one and the same.
And one is the name of the company, the other is
I
basically
wasn't
the
given a
brand
choice,
label.
there was no way
Yeah.
on my question.
So I'm going to ask
Okay, yeah, I
two of you to sort this out.
But my
But thank you.
You're welcome, and because I'm not the only one, it's not just me. The other thing I was going to ask is, I don't know whether I got that link through, because I'm signed up to receive notifications of things, and it was really, really straightforward. And it led me to the town page, and you just click on, and off you go, and you feel like so it's really easy to do. But I don't know whether that was, if we ever sent out just a mailing to everybody in town that could inform people who might not see it some other way.
Well, it was covered in the previous edition of the Sheffield
Yeah.
Times that the survey was going to be coming out. It didn't have a link at the time, so we did send out an email blast. It is posted on the website under news. We've discussed it in multiple meetings.
Yeah.
So it's gotten as much coverage as it possibly could
Yeah.
under the circumstances, besides going door to door and knocking on people's doors and saying, please
So
take the survey.
maybe what we can think about is doing another email blast. And I know the Berkshire Eagle will publish little short blurbs about going on in the Berkshires or.
Well, Heather Bello covered this survey
Yeah,
in
maybe we
the
could do just a
Berkshire Eagle.
little blurb and put that link in there. I'll send something to Jill and ask her to forward it to you. Okay?
That's fine.
All right, 'cause
Well,
that would be another way.
I wanted to get better response too, and even though I had my little glitch, everything else was really straightforward about it. So.
Well, maybe the other thing we should consider right at this moment is whether we have another handout sheet that has the link for the broadband survey. And we ask the town moderator to let us add that too, so that people get a packet of basically 3 sheets. One is the voter information, trying to make a little more English out of it. 2 is the survey, and 3 is the link for the broadband. What do you think? So could I have a motion for that 3rd page and we'll...
Well, the only thing I'm going to say about a page with a link on it is that makes it difficult for somebody to copy the entire link and type in exactly what it's supposed to be, whereas we could simply say on the sheet, go to the Sheffield Town website and click on the links.
Okay,
I think that would be a better way to do it.
okay. Would you do that sheet for us?
Sure.
Okay, and I'm going to take that as a motion.
Motion made.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we're going to try and get this all together. I'll send a note to Phyllis that can be forwarded to Bill tomorrow. And let's try and have all of this stuff in on Wednesday for Jill so that I can go down and copy and collate them. Okay, Jill? I'll do that. I'll put the things together. Okay? All right. Any other public comment? Anything else? Then I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.